Hi everyone, welcome. This is my second round. I recorded the whole thing live at 12 o'clock with the mute button on. Oh dear, it's been one of those days. Just about every Tom, Dick and Harry in the world has been in and out of here today. In the middle of my Zoom centering prayer, and it's just been one of those days. But you know what? That's fine. We'll just push forward because God is with us, and these are really minor things that we have to worry about. That piece doesn't want to go anywhere. Right, so start again. We want to talk this week about God's creation and how we know that God's presence is with us through creation. So one of the things that sort of got me going on this is Psalm 111, which I saw on Facebook together with a wonderful sermon. I did send that out in case you're interested in listening to it. Anyway, so today I'm probably going to forget everything that I said, and I'm going to read quickly because my computer says the battery's low. So without further ado, I'm going to read from a book called Faith That Matters. It has 365 daily devotions in it, written by various people like Eugene Peterson, Henry Nouwens, Dallas Willard, and a number of those, really good guys. This one is written by someone I don't know. It's James Bryan Smith, and the title is Creation is the Proof of God's Love. Starts with a passage from 1 Thessalonians that says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, in all things, in all circumstances, give thanks, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." And that's 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 16 to 18. I'm just going to read it through first, and then we'll come back to the beginning and talk a little about it. So all around us, he says, are hints and evidences of God's desire for us. I'm just going to put it there. I don't have to look down all the time. Of God's desire for us to be full of joy. These signs show us that God's love surpasses what we can know. The first sign is creation itself. We live in a world that is magnificent and beyond our understanding. For many years, I did not have the eyes to see the glory of creation, he says. Nature was never majestic. It was just a hunk of matter and molecules spinning endlessly in a pattern of evolution. But a single statement by G.K. Chesterton changed the way I looked at the world around me. He pointed out that nature is not a system of necessity. Yes, the sun will probably come up tomorrow, but it need not. Perhaps each day God says to the sun, "Arise, go forth." And he remembers walking out into his backyard after reading those words, and looking at the grass and the trees and the birds and thinking, wow, instead of seeing them as some kind of dead prop in the drama of my life, I saw them as wondrous gifts spoken forth from the mouth of God. If we look at creation carefully and meditate on its goodness, we will discover ourselves crying out, "You really love me, don't you, God?" Lord, when I consider creation, I better understand the love that you have for me, is his little prayer that he ends with. Isn't it so difficult for us to know and to accept how much God loves us? I battle with that. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the beginning now. This one passage from 1 Thessalonians is a beautiful one, but it's not easy, is it? Rejoice always, pray continually, maybe. But to give thanks in all circumstances. When someone you love is in ICU, fighting for their lives with COVID, you can't contact them. You don't know how they are. You can't see them. How easy is it to give thanks for those circumstances that are God's will? I think even if you did give thanks, people would think you odd, wouldn't they? What you doing here, smiling and praying and giving thanks to God for the fact that your husband is on his deathbed. Not easy. So let's get to the main text again. So he says that all around us are hints and evidences of God's desire to be full, for us to be full of joy. And these signs show us that God's love surpasses what we can know. I'm so glad that God's love surpasses what we can know. You know, I've always said in regard to my faith that if I knew everything, if there were no mysteries, if there were no unanswered questions, it would be like being at university and learning about psychology. And when I knew everything that there was to know, and I had experienced it and practiced it and taught it for perhaps a number of years, I would grow bored with it. And I would walk away from it. But with God, with all this mystery and all this incredible, miraculous things we see around us, there are always questions. And there's always this need to believe beyond our rational thinking. When we see something that has no explanation, no rational explanation in this world, some spiritual happening, and all we can do is believe because we have faith. We depend so much on this thing, or we'll believe anything, and that makes us miss out on everything that God has for us. The first sign of God's love for us is creation itself. You read in Genesis 1, the first chapter of Genesis, that, it says there that God made the world, the skies and the stars and the heavens and the universe first. And it's not just our universe or our earth. There are many universes in the cosmos. We are just a tiny little speck on the radar, but look how beautiful he did our tiny little speck. I wonder what the others are like. So he created this sort of space where he could begin to do his miraculous work of creation. And James says for many years he did not have the eyes to see the glory of creation. Nature was never majestic to him. It was just a hunk of matter and molecules spinning endlessly in a pattern of evolution. Poor man. How much was he missing? We just have to look out of the garden, out of the window here into our garden, and God's presence is everywhere. The beautiful flowers, the trees, the beautiful trees, old, been there for years, hundreds, maybe 100 years. Plants, vegetables just popping up out of the earth from a tiny little seed. Whenever I manage to get myself up out of bed in time to be on the beach at sunrise, or at sunset for that matter, it is just mind-blowing what God creates at that time of the day. I mean, I don't know how anybody can stand in front of that and say, there is no God. There must be something seriously wrong with him. The colors, the patterns, the pictures, the textures, the immensity of this image that hits you in the face. It knows no bounds. No man could possibly do that every single day. I know when Mike and I have the opportunity to go for a break up into the Berg and we ride around on our bicycles, it's exactly the same thing. These incredible mountains with their velvety smooth surface. I know they're not velvety smooth when you get there on your feet, but they do look beautiful and soft. And the sun, and my best is watching these cumulus clouds. I think they're cumulus, these big white curly clouds that build up. And they seem to build up so quickly. And normally they're building a storm that will come with rain and refresh the earth. I think that's special to me because my dad and I used to sit together on the veranda when we lived in Newcastle, and I was just a young girl at school. And we used to sit and just watch those clouds form, and he would explain to me what was happening, what was going to happen. I just loved those moments. So he says, a single statement by G.K. Chesterton changed the way I look at the world around me. This is a little bit hard for me to grasp, but I'll tell you what I think he's saying. Chesterton pointed out that nature is not a system of necessity. In other words, it's not just, what I think he means, it's not just there. It didn't just happen by itself. Yes, the sun will probably come up tomorrow, but it need not. I'm not sure what he means there, but I think what he is saying is that the sun will come up because of God's hand in it. And then and sort of sarcastically says, perhaps every day God says to the sun, arise, go forth. And that made such an impression on this man, James. He said, I remember walking out in my backyard after reading those words and looking at the grass and the trees and the birds and thinking, wow. Instead of seeing them as some kind of dead prop in the drama of my life, I saw them as wondrous gifts spoken forth from the mouth of God. Yeah, we read this and we think, yeah, that is so true. And we do live in an incredibly beautiful world, and in spite of the destruction of the environment, there's still an awful lot of beauty. But how often do we actually take time to stop and actually be aware of the presence of God in creation? Here we are rushing down Musgrave Road or wherever, because we have to get to Woolworths before it closes to get some veggies for the family for dinner. And that's all that's in our minds. And we pass all these incredible presence of God, the trees, the beautiful trees in Musgrave Road. They're absolutely incredible. Some of the blocks of flats have beautiful flowers hanging over the walls. But unless we have a mindset that actually has an awareness and an intention to notice God's presence in creation, we will miss all that. And along with it, we will miss the joy that he speaks about in the beginning. All around us are hints and evidences of God's desire for us to be full of joy. This morning, one of the sort of distractions was a gentleman came. We had a huge beehive in our roof in the rectory. And I was sitting in a position working on my computer where I could see what he was doing. And he took this hive out of the roof, and we got so much honey from it. I mean, where in the world does that happen? How could we as man and woman, people, do that, make that happen? We couldn't. It's just miraculous. And here we were taking these bees out because they were coming into the house, and we were almost standing on them on the floor. And I thought to myself, we're actually destroying what God has created here. But what do we do? But some people would just look at that and just say, oh, wow, bees making honey. But it's not. If you have to look behind and see how miraculous that is. How the bees go out every day and collect honey around the garden. Come back, buzz around, do the things they need to do to make honey. That's just one of the things that you can't turn your back on. You have to go, wow. Yeah, and so I'm coming to the end of my talk. But I just want to repeat these last two little passages before I close off. And then I've got a beautiful creation hymn for you, composed by John Rutter and played by an enormous orchestra, which I apologize, I don't know the name. So he says, I'm just reminding you, if we look at creation carefully and meditate You can't meditate in a hurry. You can't meditate with your monkey brain jumping around all the time. You need to slow down, even if it's for a few moments. If you meditate on its goodness, we will discover ourselves crying out, "You really love me, don't you, God?" Not, "I really love you, God," for doing all of this, but noticing that in all this that He has done for us, how much He loves us. And the prayer at the end, "Lord, when I consider creation, I better understand the love you have for me." Amen. So I just pray that as we part this afternoon, that you will take up the challenge to be intentional about noticing God's presence in creation around you and feeling the joy that it brings because it shows you how much God loves you. And I'll end off with that and with this beautiful hymn. God bless and lots of love to you all.